LCS waiting room. We are on elimination day of playoffs, and we brought Chime in to help us break it down. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good to hear. How's it been since you know, unfortunately didn't make playoffs? What have you been up to?
Yeah, I mean that was the plan, just hang out and not actually make playoffs. Have a longer vacation.
Goal, the mission accomplished.
Yeah. No, it's been good. I mean, it obviously feels horrible to get knocked out, but you get to like watch more leagues. So I've just been watching a lot and grinding solo queue.
Cool. Nice. Any tips for the patch if I'm trying to climb?
Melio is probably broken.
You were telling me you still haven't been able to play.
I'd love to practice him, but everyone bans it. Or if you try and lock it in, they're like, show me RP.GG.
To prove that you've played it like more than once.
And I can't play him, so I practice
Catch 22, yeah. Cool, well, we'll be happy to hear your thoughts throughout the course of today. Let's go ahead and quickly recap some of the stuff that's been going on so far. Just yesterday, we had C9 beating CLG 3-1. Any thoughts on that series watching it?
The CLG C9 series, I mean, C9 is like a titan right now compared to a lot of the other teams. So I did think like CLG had really good moments, but ultimately, I think C9 had some really good drafts and better play all around. Yeah,
it was a pretty close feeling series. I think C9 felt like they played bad, but still managed to move on 3-1. And CLG looked giga dejected after being down 2-1. Felt like they were actually going to be able to win Game 4 for a few moments, but then just couldn't pull it out.
Yeah, talking to the C9 guys yesterday, it was really interesting because they were all like, CLG did push us, especially early, and they felt like they had made a lot of mistakes, but I thought overall they just had a lot better macro play.
The other matchup that happened on Thursday was actually 100 Thieves versus FlyQuest, and they got 3-0 to set up the matchup today, which is 100 Thieves versus Golden Guardians. But yeah, this one was not close. I assume you caught this one as well?
Yeah, that was, I mean, they just kept slamming the same drafts into each other and seeing who would win. And yeah, I mean, FlyQuest kept winning.
What's that definition of insanity again? You know, keep trying the same thing over and over. It did feel like it kind of exposed a bit of a blueprint potentially to beating 100 Thieves.
Yeah, and I also think like, especially talking to Impact afterwards, who was essentially just going, anathemas, jump on Doublelift, make sure he dies. Like, they went into the series knowing that 100 Thieves is going to hard focus being able to get Doublelift on a hyper carry and then into the late game. And so they designed their drafting and their game plan around it.
Yeah, well, what's kind of interesting though is like normally if you have a team that plays through bot really well and you have Prince on your team, you'd think the decision would be, let's just 3v3 bot lane the whole series. That's really not what they did though. Like Doublelift actually got his in lane, FlyQuest got Impact ahead, and then they pulled ahead of them in team fights. So it was just a different approach, which we'll see if Golden Guardians tries to replicate today.
Yeah, I do think that a lot of it comes from Closer. I just think like he is the bot-centric jungler. So, you know, there's so many times where he's gonna be sitting in the bot bush, pushing out for Herald, anything like that. I think because of that, like, it's really annoying to 3v3 100 Thieves bot lane because it's never a 2v2 and it's never a 3v2. If your jungler's there, Closer's there. And that's like the annoying thing about 100 Thieves.
It's funny, it's been like that for a decade. I remember in scrims versus CLG, just when Doublelift was on CLG back then, being like, yeah, it's a 3v3 every time. They'll like insano trade level 1 and 2 because their jungler's coming at 3. And
that's kind of how 100 Thieves played with huhi and FBI though, as well. So it's like Doublelift plays through bot, Closer plays through bot, maybe they're really good together.
Yeah.
So their opponent today is actually Golden Guardians, and we have covered All-Pro a little bit before, but this time we want to dive deep on Gori, who was actually the first team All-Pro.
There he is, snuck in there as the 6th place first team mid laner. But I think it actually is very well deserved. It was a very difficult choice to pick mid laners this year. Gori had so many huge games, especially when he came into the team a little bit into the split. You could see the massive improvement that they had as soon as they got him.
If you miss any of that action that Jat is talking about, don't worry. We have a little package prepared for you to catch you up on just how insane Gori is.
Well, Gori, oh my god, that's a lot of damage. Now, Dokla laughing in the face of his enemy. Dokla's got nowhere. Golden Guardians just taking their time. They're having fun with this. They're
to disengage. They're trying to get that solo kill, but then punch flash away. Now Eminence in trouble.
That's your next target is Licorice and Gori file in from the flank, and they're running over Steve. Perfect execution. Jensen is forced to go back, but he's going to be taken close to zero. He ain't dead yet. Gori's looking to keep them.
For Stixxay, boogie.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that was close. He's going to go for a one. Flash auto attack. Karma's taking a lot of damage from the back end because Stixxay is free hitting onto the tank and no pulls him back underneath the turret, but they still don't have the damage to kill it. Stixxay's gonna grab it now, and he's traded for River. 1 for 2.
solo kill leader Gori popping off. Need more air horns in there, baby.
Yeah.
Well, what were your thoughts playing against Golden Guardians and him in particular in the mid lane? I don't know if Maple ever had thoughts about it or anything.
We did pry him on like certain matchups of like certain players. He never really gave us much to go off of. Yeah, and he never said anything particular about Gori, but Golden Guardians as a whole, I think their mid jungle is definitely pretty strong and what they play through as their focal point, but it does seem like they definitely try and leave top lane just as a one-on-one.
Yeah. Also, I mean, I think they themselves figured that out pretty early with both huhi and River kind of going to mid to help facilitate Gori, and then he would be able to play through sides like this.
Yeah, I really do think that Gori gave the team their true identity in that sense, where it became about like kind of the Korean speakers on that team all working together. Stixxay and Licorice even talked about the fact that like sometimes they're left out of the plans because the early game plan was like huhi's going to move mid with River and Gori. They're going to try and make some plays happen. And Gori, because he is so good individually in those solo kills, like he's obviously someone you're willing to invest in, but he also has the mindset to go ahead and try and make those plays.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other thing about him that was even apparent previously when you watched him in other leagues, even when he kind of was struggling a little bit in LPL, was the fact that he did have a really good read on when he could go to sides, especially once he was ahead. I also have a little Telestrator clip for you guys.
Speaking of the huhi Gori
yeah, huhi Gori
and
River. Because I do think if GG are going to win, this is kind of one of their strengths that you're going to want to be looking at. The big thing here is that this is on huhi's back timing. Huhi actually had the lowest bot duo procs of any support, and it's because he would constantly be going to link up with River and roam to mid. And this is kind of the platonic ideal of if GG are going to win, it's going to be off of A, facilitating Gori in mid lane, but B, River and huhi linking up for him, right? So we have River coming off of doing his Raptors. Inspired is coming in. He ends up matching this, so the gank for EG doesn't go off, but then Inspired's gonna go up, do his Raptors, River hangs out, and here comes huhi, right here. And so they end up going to be able to collapse and kill JoJo here, taking control of the mid, setting up Gori to be ahead in this matchup. And this is, if GG are going to win today, this is exactly what I want to see from them as a team. It's basically River, huhi on roams, especially on backs like this, working together through mid and then taking that pressure to take over the game early to mid. Now, with that being said, here is Mark with a look into the history of 100 Thieves and Golden Guardians as teams.
I want to talk about the history of these two organizations because it's a little more linked than you might think at first glance. Now, both these teams debuted in 2018 at the start of the franchise era, but they came in with very different roster building approaches. 100 Thieves grabbed a lot of well-known names and faces in the LCS scene and saw immediate success, grabbing first place in the regular season and making a finals appearance. Golden Guardians took a very different tact where they grabbed high in the mid lane as the veteran presence, but then stuck a lot of young NA talent around him. Unfortunately, it did not work out, and they finished back-to-back 10th place time in 2018. But they didn't abandon this approach. They still tried to find undervalued talent in other parts of the world. They tried Lost. They eventually settled on FBI. They found Closer from Turkey, and they began to make a rise up the standings, as you can see. For 100 Thieves, after the hot start, they actually came down and struggled during these years in 2019 and 2020. This is during this time where this ascension is happening for these Golden Guardians guys, which peaks in the summer 2020 playoffs where they are actually able to beat TSM, swept them in the playoffs, almost swept them in the losers bracket as well, beating the GOATs in a lot of people's eyes in Bjergsen and Doublelift. And it made a lot of people take note of just how talented this roster from Golden Guardians actually was. While at the end of the day, TSM did win that finals and took home the championship, it did get a lot of people's attention. Unfortunately, actually, for Golden Guardians, because this was during the COVID years where budget cuts came in, they were not able to retain their roster, and 100 Thieves made the heist, snatched up a lot of the core members from them, stuck them with their other finals player in Someday from earlier, and then began to make a rise up the standings. This forced Golden Guardians to kind of pivot back to their old strategy of looking for undervalued talent, trying to tap into the collegiate scene with Niles. They tried Chime, they tried a couple different approaches, but none of them were really working. And during this time, it's made all the more painful because because they're watching their old team go ahead and actually win a championship with one more roster swap with Abadaga joining that lineup. That lineup actually continued on to 3 straight finals appearances, huhi, FBI, and Closer being a lot of the core of the plays that were being made. Everyone saw how talented they were, but unfortunately, after a series of not very impressive international events, the fact that they hadn't won a title in a while, it actually pushed 100 Thieves to make a change, signing Bjergsen and Doublelift, the 2 guys that those teams beat to make a name for themselves, are actually now joining the roster, paired up with some rookie talent in Tenacity and Busio, where it's Golden Guardians who actually changed the tact of how they were building their roster this time, grabbing a lot of unassuming veterans, huhi rejoining from 100 Thieves down to Golden Guardians. You have Stixxay paired up with him as well from their time on CLG, and Licorice as someone who has accomplished a lot in his career, but people were starting to sleep on. They grabbed a couple international players as well, with River and Gori joining, and that allowed them to rip off a 7-0 win streak at one point in this season to get them into playoffs, which leads to the matchup today. Now, huhi has been a part of both sides of this history and has plenty of thoughts about it.
I mean, it was a team that I was on for such a long time, and when I was there, and even though we won a championship and 2 back-to-back finals, I will say we still got a lot of hates. And now that they have Doublelift and Bjergsen, I think they're getting a lot of fans, which is fair, but for me, it's a bittersweet feeling. I'm genuinely happy for Closer, but yeah, I'm just amazed how ramp they got up.
Well, you might play them. So if you play them in playoffs, how do you think that's going to go?
Oh, I think we'll 3-0 them. Yeah.
We'll hold off on predictions, despite what huhi said there for a little bit, and just talk about the matchup. Emily was just breaking down prior to this about like how huhi works with the teams. What's your experience playing against both bot lanes and like maybe different approaches that they might have?
I think every support has their own tendencies. So certain supports in the league, like I'd say Ignar and huhi most noticeably, will always go through mid on first base, similar to like LPL style supports, where they'll always go through, buy the double pinks, put them out, go back bot. And then like, you know, the LS side of it is more like go straight bot, like this Ven tactic. And and I think like, it definitely, each team has its own strengths, and it's really just like what your team buys into, I think, right? Your mid laner and your jungle can buy pinks and set it up yourself, and you can play for bot or vice versa.
Yeah, I love that, especially when they're able to play through mid. And Stixxay hasn't actually had a bad split because huhi has left so much, so they're definitely finding a good bit of synergy. And talking about the matchup a little bit more generally as well, like for probably week 5 through 7, maybe 3 through 7, we would all think Golden Guardians would be winning this series. It was just that week 8 where 100 Thieves won 5 games and Golden Guardians went 0-3 with a loss to Dignitas that has really changed our perception. But I don't necessarily think that week 8 is the week to decide if a team is good or bad. I think it's a larger conversation about the whole split.
Yeah, definitely the case. I think it was also one particular style that 100 Thieves really seemed to tap into with, you know, it was the Sion Grogs we talked about, the fact that they had this very front-to-back team fight style. It seemed like he got solved a little bit by the side of FlyQuest, just with their targeted bans, forcing, you know, more of the attention on the Doublelift and then them playing around it. I feel like Golden Guardians will probably copy that play style, and like it's on 100 Thieves, I think, to adapt a little bit and try and find a new wrench in the plans to make sure that they're not just 100% blueprint solved.
Yeah, I think River, although I remember in previous years, we kind of criticized him for only playing Jarvan, or his team would only look good when he was playing Jarvan, but he can play a lot, so I am wondering if they just stick with the same bans, like the jungle bans that FlyQuest brought out against 100 Thieves, because I agree that attacking Doublelift's champion pool is actually just a waste of time. Like, they're always going to find a strong hyper carry to put him on, and it's about how the rest of the team is going to facilitate that.
Yeah, I think also the way that River plays is pretty similar to how Speak was doing that ended up like winning them the series. Like he can be really creative in his flanks, and I think that's going to be annoying for 100 Thieves, especially on like River's champ pool.
So breaking news just came through. After losing to FlyQuest, Tenacity was promised that he would shave his head. Check in. Did it happen? We'll find out. He still has a full head of hair. The boy who cried upset or wolf, I don't know. But now no one can trust Tenacity when he makes a bet. Not gonna make it happen. Yeah, you've been following this story closely. What are your thoughts as our leading correspondent on the Tenacity head shave? You've been hounding him on Twitter.
I'm a little disappointed. I have tweeted at him 2 times, and I've been in this Twitch chat. So I've definitely been putting some pressure on him. and maybe it's going to negatively impact his performance today. We'll see.
You're living in his head.
Yeah.
Chime, have you ever done any bets yet around like head shaves, hot pepper bets?
No, I think a coach of mine had a tattoo bet once. If I remember correctly, but I've never done anything like that. No, not personally.
What did they have to tattoo on themselves?
I would love to remember. I just remember that happened.
All right, well, we'll try and get you in on a bet. We'll bully you into it at some point here. Speaking of someone who has made quite a few claims over the course of his career, we have Doublelift with a Player of the Week interview from back in Week 8. Let's go to check it out.
Welcome back to the MasterCard Player of the Week interview. Doublelift for Week 8. And I did some sleuthing this year about why you came back to professional play. And I realized the one thing you hadn't accomplished domestically was a MasterCard Player of the Week trophy. So at long last, you got it. Are you even going to come back for summer?
There it is. After this, maybe not. Maybe it's time to go back to full-time streaming. I mean, this is it. This is the last on the check boxes.
Yeah.
Bucket list.
Yeah, I mean, I know your shelf at home has like your MVP trophy and then like a bunch of LCS things, but that's probably front.
This is pretty huge. This is pretty huge. I didn't realize what they used that full body scan on Acid Day for, and now I know. It's to make a little mini me.
You just idly were like, yeah, you can just scan.
Everyone thinks I'm an egomaniac, so maybe I'll just be at home like playing with my action figures, like using myself as like the superhero.
Let's talk a little bit about Week 8 though, because you had an insane amount of kills in the 5 games. I think you had, I don't know exactly, I think it was 47. And you had like 106 kills for the whole split. So you almost had as many kills in that week as you had the whole year.
That is pretty crazy.
Did anything change about your preparation or your mindset for Week 8 compared to the first 7 weeks?
Well, I mean, we were getting destroyed mid-season, so almost had as many wins in that week than the entire.
You had half the wins in that week.
Yeah, exactly. So that makes sense because usually when you're losing a lot, you're not getting many kills this AD. We just knew that we had to like get the ship sailing. I mean, people always say this, oh, regular season you do a lot of experimentation, but like we really just thought we could do everything. Like we came into the split like, let's not be a formulaic team. Let's like figure it out. Let's be a team that can be versatile and do like everything. It usually results in bad things. I don't know why everyone's always making the same mistake in LCS, but yeah, like last couple weeks, basically, we realized, okay, it's go time. Like if we don't make playoffs, our whole season was for nothing. So let's like kind of like lock in. Let's actually play together. When somebody makes a call, let's just do it. Even if we don't know how it's going to turn out, we have like some hesitations inside. Like we should just follow the call.
Dude, I love how you're using your statue like it's a microphone. Like I feel like you're doing it subconsciously, but you're talking into the statue. It's amazing.
It's me. I gotta put this down, man.
I mean,
put this down.
I've ruined the magic. What you just said reminds me a lot of what you said in like 2018 when you're on TL. You didn't say it exactly, but in 2018, at one point in an interview, you're like, we're just going to decide how we're going to play. We're going to play through bot lane. We're going to give me the resources. You didn't say that's what the conversation was, but that's what it looked like in Week 8. Is that kind of what you decided on, that you needed to play through bot, have a strong team fighting team, you know, scale and stuff?
You know, I just think like it's a bunch of things. It's like that is the style that fits our team the best. Yeah. So it gives our team the highest chance of winning the game. But also, AD carry is just completely broken right now. Like I saw some statistic on the LCS broadcast about how like all the kill leaders are AD carries. Yeah. And
top 5.
Yeah, I mean that just goes to show you, right? Like it's just the AD carry like disproportionately does like a crazy amount of damage and just does the most with gold compared to like most other seasons. So yeah, it does feel like everyone else on the team is kind of a second-class citizen that's there to like serve the AD carry.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You mentioned a little bit about the mid-season struggles, and if you're open to it, I want to hear a little bit about that because you also made a coaching change. Nuke Duck became your head coach as of, I believe, Week 7 when the win streak started.
Yeah, so 7-0 with him.
It seemed like a really big inflection point for the team. Is that true?
Like a bunch of stuff happened around that time. Like one of them is I've always been a big proponent of having open, direct talks with my teammates. For example, I don't want to be complaining to my coach about something that my teammate does. I'd rather tell him to his face. And when you're in an environment where you're like kind of afraid of doing that because you're afraid to like damage the team environment, I think that's when things like snowball out of control. So for a while, I think our team was holding a lot of criticism of each other, including like people's criticism of me. They kind of were just holding it in. And if you don't know how important something is to your teammates, you're not going to try as hard as you should to like fix those problems. So
was it going through like an intermediary, or was it just being completely held back from everyone?
No, I mean, like, I think it was being a little bit, what is the right word for it? Like where it's just being, it's being delivered too nicely.
Okay,
it's not
too sugar-coated.
Yeah, it's sugar-coated, sugar-coated. Yeah. I don't know why I couldn't think of that, but that happened, and then we made the coaching change as well, and both of those things kind of together made our team a lot better. Obviously, I don't think like Nukeduck is solely responsible for the 7-0 win streak afterwards, but he was a huge help. I was really surprised. I mean, I've always thought coaches could only be so useful. It really, the people who are playing the game are the players. That's really it. Like, and a player can also be a coach to his teammates if you want to be a leader in and out of the game. But man, Nukeduck has been really doing amazing. It really made me appreciate how he's someone who, like me and like Bjergsen, played in LEC at the highest level for an extremely long time. So he's accumulated like a crazy amount of knowledge. The only difference is, I would say maybe like LEC's average level of macro is like a little bit better. Okay. And so like the way that he understands the game and he directs us, there's a lot of trust in him. We just, if he has an idea, we just do his idea. So yeah, I mean, he's done very well as a coach, basically.
That sounds awesome. Unfortunately, today you did fall the FlyQuest. We're pre-taping this, so you're going to be seeing this right before the Golden Guardians match. So yeah, you've done great in this interview to look towards the future. And you and I talked a little bit off camera about the lower bracket run. You did it in 2020, the last time you were in the LCS. How are you approaching thinking about the Golden Guardians match and even the rest of playoffs?
I mean, I swear we played against Golden Guardians in the lower bracket. We have, yes. This is the
actually,
yeah, that was Golden Guardians.
It was huhi.
Yes, it was huhi on Golden Guardians. It's time is a circle. Regardless, our lower bracket, like I feel very comfortable in the lower bracket. I always tell my team, like jokingly, it's kind of a buff because you get to play more games and your like best of 5 choke is kind of like out of the way. And on top of that, like there's a potential that we play like just as many games in playoffs as we played in the entire regular season. To be honest, then against Golden Guardians when they knocked us down lower bracket and now against FlyQuest, you just have to admit they played better than us. So what can we learn? Like, how do we get better? Because it's not a sprint. It's kind of a marathon. Playoffs lasts many, you know, over the course of many weeks. So you just have to kind of survive and adapt and like evolve through every single day, every match that you play.
Yeah. Happy you came back?
Extremely happy. Extremely. Regardless of the results.
I actually never asked you about this. Like, you spent 2.5 years off.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been, in the last couple of years, like I have not felt as fulfilled as I have playing on 100 Thieves. We haven't had the best possible results. You know, we kind of like sneaked into playoffs with a crazy miracle in the last couple of weeks. We just lost a FlyQuest, but I've never been happier. And, you know, competing is just, it's in my blood. Like, I just love it. Yeah. It's like the purest form of fulfillment, like figuring out how you can best somebody at something that you both are really passionate about. That is so cool to me. So, yeah, probably going to compete for as long as I possibly can.
Damn, awesome to hear. Thank you very much for joining me for the interview. That'll do it from here and the MasterCard interview.
Bye-bye.
Awesome interview with Doublelift there.
Doublelift. You can just feel the passion has been reignited for him as well. Like, even the words he's used just like has changed meaningfully since he's been a pro player. Just like the purest form of fulfillment. I could never imagine Double saying that like 8 years ago.
The biggest change was saying that Spring Split doesn't matter to now saying Spring Split does matter. Like, if that's not a flip, I don't know what is.
It's just about the competition.
Yeah. But some of those things he said that were interesting to me, talking about like the role of AD carries, this split Chime as support, do you feel like a second-class citizen?
I think it's I mean, I think depending on the meta, like, yeah, if you're Nami or Lulu compared to Lucian or Zeri, I think you definitely do. I think just like the point of your existence is to make them happier and have a good time. So they seem like they're doing it.
Out of game 2, you have to like get them food.
Carry them to their desk.
Yeah.
Nice. I mean, I think the coolest thing hearing from Doublelift now is I remember interviewing him in 2019 before TL went to Worlds, and he was saying how like at the time upset he was that he felt like no other NA AD carry at that time had been able to get up to his level, right? So he's like, people are waiting for me to leave, but like, where is the like next upstart AD carry? And it's cool to your point, Jack, hear him be so excited about competing again after taking. Because I don't think he's someone who is going to be satisfied with streaming for long. Even when he does get burnt out, I feel like after a little while, like after a little cooldown, he always just wants to come back and wants to prove how good he is again.
Definitely the case. Alrighty, we're moving in to the last 3 minutes before the game starts. We'll have to start doing predictions, start giving our thoughts on who's going to win and why. We'll start down at the far end with Emily.
All right.
What do you got for us?
So I've already said my predictions are my gauge of like how much confidence I have in both teams, right? So like yesterday with C9, I said C9 3-0 because I thought C9 was like that much of the stronger team. Today I'm going 100 Thieves 3-2. I have no idea, right? So like I think it's cool that 100 Thieves have found their play style, and I don't think it's always necessarily sit for scaling either, right? Because they do have a lot of early bot lane first bloods. Like they do really hard focus bot early, and it's less about like I know they made all the Gathering Storm memes like, oh, we're scaling, but like it was about marrying having a stronger early game and not having all of these losing lanes into also having a hyper carry for Doublelift and playing around him in 5v5 fights. Whereas Golden Guardians were on an extreme downturn in the final week. And I think the platonic ideal of what they can do is kind of like how I pointed out earlier with River and huhi hooking up, facilitating Gori in the mid lane and then spreading that map pressure all around in early to mid. So that clash of styles is super interesting to me. I have not a ton of confidence in either team just because they both have kind of, they both have really, really strong points and they've both found their play styles, but they've also have a lot of opportunity areas.
All right, Chai, moving down the list. You're up next. Who do you got and why?
I have the same as Emily, actually, is 3-2.
Copy
Thieves. But I think kind of what she touched on about there's two very momentum-based teams. They had like their season was dictated by if they were on a win streak or a loss streak. I think because of that, like the first game means a lot, and I think that, yeah, I mean both teams have like pretty high highs, but I think 100 Thieves is a bit more like playbook, and Golden Guardians is a bit more like psychopath mid jungle.
So if they're feeling particularly unhinged,
yeah, I think that can help.
All right, well, that's actually how I'm kind of feeling myself, Jack. I don't know about you.
Did you watch Golden Guardians content at the start of the year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
well, I don't know.
Jack and I are firmly on the Golden Guardians train.
Yeah.
3-2. Oh, you're 3-1.
Yeah.
You're even more confident in the FU.
If you're going to put the hat on, you may as well have a little bit of confidence. So I actually flip-flopped on this a little bit internally myself because I was enchanted by 100 Thieves winning all their games with their 7-game win streak, but thinking more about how they actually lost to FlyQuest and how it was like impact and team fighting and how Bjergsen really didn't look effective against Vikla. And then I saw Gori sitting up there as first team mid laner, and I thought, is Bjergsen going to be effective against Gori? Because if they can't have both Bjergsen and Doublelift being effective, they're not going to win. And I feel like huhi, Stixxay have been strong enough and Gori has been good enough that the carries might just be in a better position to win. And that's why I actually put Golden Guardians as a 3-1.
It's super close. I could see it going any kind of way. It could be a 3-0 in either direction. It could be a 3-2. I'm with you, though, leaning towards Golden Guardians. That's going to do it for us here on the LCS waiting room. Let's go and get into the games.
Bienvenidos and welcome, y'all. It is lower round of the bracket in our playoffs road to Raleigh. My name is Mark Raafaa Alexander Aramide. I've got Barento Raz Mohammed with me on the desk, brother.
How you doing?
We're dripped out because we got a very important series on our hands here.
Yeah, you already mentioned it. It's knockout time for both teams. 100 Thieves, of course, we already saw them play going up against FlyQuest. The desk touched on that. For Golden Guardians, though, not up or shut up. The fact that they came in really hot in the regular season, we saw what the analysts talked about, and they were on that downward spiral. So it's all about what they prepared for us and going up against 100 Thieves. They saw that series like we saw that series. So, and they're actually a pretty creative team, Rafa.
That's right. They have pulled out some interesting and really tactical ways of being able to pull off wins towards that middle of the split. But both of these teams in general, we have found that they made those big win streaks. Yeah. But then they had a slump afterwards. FlyQuest taking out 100 Thieves and 3-0ing them, even in that game 2 where it looked like it was going to be good for 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves have a lot to prove if they can bounce back up after that slump. Golden Guardians, same question. Middle of the split win streak into a slump in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, so I'm really interested to see what the adaptations are going to be for 100 Thieves. They were a team that went into that best of 5 and we're the same squad. A lot of it was protect Jinx. They had Thresh that would be able to lantern her if she was in any bad positions, but then the moment FlyQuest really started flanking them, like the desk once again really discussed, then they were struggling. But looking at the bans, really like the Annie ban there from Golden Guardians, taking away the Annie flex. The only other flex that 100 Thieves tend to go for is the Gragas. They shied away from it in the last series because Sion was such a big problem and a focus, so I expect 100 Thieves to move away from that. While Golden Guardians are not a team that flexes. Honestly, the only thing that could possibly be flexed by that team was a Sejuani or perhaps a Gragas, perhaps. So I'm interested to see what Golden Guardians tend to go for. Wukong being picked right now, I expect an Elise or a... Elise has already been banned, so Vi is the only thing that I can look at. There it is, locked in from River.
Yep. And Stixxay locking in that Zeri with the Vi means that there is no easy way for 100 Thieves to get that guaranteed lockdown later in the stage of the game when Zeri becomes so slippery, so mobile. So now 100 Thieves, you have this jungler in mind for closer in this Wukong. My eyes looking to round up bot lane.
Yeah, Jinx already being hovered, that was already expected. They have the option to go towards a Thresh or just lock in the Sion right now. In the last series, they tend to delay that going into 4-5. It seems like Tenacity has quite a few options. The Cho'Gath is one that he went towards. So I'm not too concerned about that. I would actually say going towards the Thresh would be pretty important. You can go Lulu, and you can lock out the Zeri-Lulu combination, so that's another option there. I personally like Busio on Thresh, gives them pick opportunities as well. They tend to be pretty far behind in early game, so there it is, getting locked in. So protection in team fights and pick opportunities later on in the game.
I mean, longtime Busio fans are always going to be a fan whenever they see Busio on a playmaker rather than just an enchanter trying to go up Doublelift. But the extra mobility with Dark Passage can get Doublelift out of sticky situations. This does forfeit the Lulu over to huhi, so a little bit of extra power for Stixxay in the late game.
I liked a lot of your casts when Busio was in Academy, because a lot of it was him playing engages, him and Ayla really being the backbone of their team and making team fights, winning opportunities off the Rakan or Thresh, and now we get the opportunity because of the meta changing to really get that Busio out in the open again. So I'm happy to see it. Interesting going into the 4-5 now with mid steal being up in the air. I love the Lissandra ban. That's been another pick, that and the Annie, that we've been seeing Bjergsen on a lot. So I'm very interested. There might be some changes. What's made me a little bit more excited was watching that T1 KT match last night.
That was banger.
Seeing Twisted Fate being popped out by BDD. So if they are interested in putting Tenacity on a carry again, they can go in that route. But I think Golden Guardians, they've done it in the past. They are the team that's still willing to get 5-pick on top lane. So maybe not going to see a change there. One interesting fact was Licorice was actually the Malphite player. So he picked out Malphite. Game was pretty decent. So maybe they go back to that depending on 100 Thieves comp.
And if it was something like just a Twisted Fate for Bjergsen that we were expecting because of the patterns of Annie and Lissandra being both mid laners that necessarily don't want to hard dominate lane, they want to roam and look for plays. Facilitate closer, get them off the map, get them snowballing, look on the bottom side of the map. But if you have something low damage profile in Twisted Fate and Tenacity isn't on an AP carry, that is where something like a Malphite does really spring to life.
Ooh, I'm excited to see what the pick's going to be there for Gori, because he is the one that is the engine for Golden Guardians. The LeBlanc picks that we've seen, the Yone picks, he plays quite a bit of Assassins. He is actually the leading player on this team in terms of damage share. Usually that's an 80 carry stat that we usually see excel. We're going to see Licorice actually blind pick the Renekton going up top lane. That's been a comfort for him. I'm not too happy about that, especially since 100 Thieves can just easily bust out another tank and just play a front-to-back fight and make it difficult for Renekton to be effective.
They've already banned out the sign away from Tenacity, but as you already pointed out before, he can always go to the Gragas. That's a great matchup into the Renekton. Hell, you could even go Cho'Gath if you wanted a little bit of extra scaling power, but they want to take the K'Sante, something that, I mean, we've seen flex between both solo lanes, but more than likely should go over to Tenacity, so while he gets to be a tank, he also gets some backline threat access if he ever finds Stixxay.
Exactly. And it now is kind of like gives that skill expression to Tenacity. The desk talked about this just a little bit, how Gori is leading in solo kills. Number 2 is Tenacity because of how he is a good laner. Not a lot of people get to see that. So a lock-in of the Zilean towards Bjergsen is going to make this game a lot more exciting. Hard for Golden Guardians to manage team fights, so giving them a side lane threat or something should be what they go for. They're hovering over the Akali. I'm personally not a fan of it, but if they do lock it in, the power is going to be in Gori's hands. There it is.
Gori taking up the assassin reins of this Akali, putting the onus on him and River to find Doublelift again and again in these fights. But the problem is, Bjergsen with a Zilean, Doublelift gets a second life.
Yeah, it's just a lot of single target pick from Golden Guardian side. The Vi, the Akali, technically Renekton. So it's going to be pretty easy for the Thresh Lantern, the Zilean ulti to save them, but you still have Zeri Lulu in your back pocket. So if they're just going to be disruptors, with Zeri Lulu getting safe in the back line, just pumping damage into the K'Sante or into the Wukong, then that can work. But we'll have to see. A little bit of versatility from Golden Guardian side. I like how they can play through side lanes with Akali. So that's where my eyes are going to be for Golden Guardians. Play through side lanes just a little bit, make it harder for Zilean to operate in the mid stages of the game. We'll see how 100 Thieves can fight. That's going to be their focus.
Reminder, everyone, that this is our first round of the lower bracket. 100 Thieves had the luxury of playing in the upper bracket for that safety, but because they were knocked down, both they and Golden Guardians, it's only one series. One loss in this series, or if they lose the series, then it is just their playoffs run coming to an end. But here we go. 100 Thieves will be taking to the Rift against Golden Guardians. All right, we're on the Rift now, and I do believe that we're going to be getting a quick little interview with Chime talking to one of the coaches of the teams.
Yeah, it is a Golden Guardians coach, which is going to be fun since he has history with that one. So maybe he ribs them a little bit, try and pull some information from him. So when that does happen, that'll be a fun one.
But not now. I'm just chilling for the next 40 seconds before we get into kind of the start of the minion spawn here.
Yeah, I'm always interested in if there's going to be any bit of cheese in the level 1 or just an invade that were to happen. No Scion here, so we don't get to see that. Just a proper fan from both teams, so it seems like nothing is going to be out of the ordinary. Wukong still living in the top side of the map, so maybe it's going to be swap clear, so Wukong perhaps is going to be clearing from top to bot. Vi going to be doing the opposite. Actually, they're on vision here. Okay, just getting a ward down on Raptors to get any information on River, so that seems to be the game plan.
Yeah. And it's always a good timer to try and go for the late invade to get as much time on that Raptor camp, because it's not often for junglers to start any camp that is not their buff. But I am now getting word. We now have Chime on the side with Spooks.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing, Chime? Looking handsome as always.
So what do you think of the draft? Do you have any thoughts on, did you expect Zilean in the 4-5? Did you have a 4-5 expectation of him blending it?
I feel like with Bjergsen, like he'll default to comfort picks.
Sure.
We definitely thought about the Zilean.
Okay.
Gori's a really strong laner, so we're pretty confident that he'll be able to punish.
Okay.
He's also a really good Akali player, so we're pretty confident in the draft.
And did you ever think about them always slamming Jinx Thresh no matter what? Is that just...
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing that's nice about 100 Thieves is like, normally you have like 20 different draft situations.
Yeah.
With 100 Thieves, you know exactly what they're doing. So it takes less in the draft prep.
And you can just copy Fly's homework.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Cool. Well, thank you.
That's it. All right, cool. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks, Chime.
Thank you, Chime and Spooks. Just giving us insight that, you know, they're not that concerned of the Bjergsen Zilean power pick coming in on the 4-5 draft. But I want to get right into what you were mentioning during that early draft phase, Raz. If Golden Guardian's win condition is to play towards the side lanes, what does River need to do in the first 15 minutes of the game to enable that success?
Well, one thing about River is that pretty unpredictable. A lot of it is still going to be around mid lane, and it's just a bit of a coin flip in how he ends up ganking that lane. But one thing that is predictable as he goes over the wall is that closer is going to be bot side of the map. He's always going to look for a gank. It looks like this time around it's going to be a lane gank, but I wonder how Tenacity is going to deal with the River gank up top side.
He's running Ghost Teleport, so he can't immediately flash the Vault Breaker if River lands it true. The stun guarantees the Vault Breaker, and Tenacity knows he is gone. No Ghost is going to save you. First blood over to Golden Guardians.
There it is. Quick and easy there from River getting first blood. A fun little stat there is that both junglers, Closer and River, lead the league in the regular season for first bloods. Closer is a little higher up on that one, but it was a nice angle there for River. Let's see if Closer gets one back.
Busio's gonna flash forward, guarantee the flay and look for the death sentence, but it's a little too late. The cleanse from Stixxay guarantees that he's able to escape back over the wall.
Yeah, just going over the LCS banner there. He knew that. He was under no concern, no troubles. So far, this game looking great for Golden Guardians to be able to get that pick early for Licorice. The kill does go over to River, so he's going to be able to spread the love a little bit across the map. Right now, Gori is still sticking in lane. He has TP in his back pocket, so I'm not too concerned about him. It's mostly just going to be if Bjergsen is going to be constantly pushing in. If River's going to find another angle, usually he finds, like, he just queues into the line bush of either side of mid, tries to dodge out of ward like he did earlier to get the kill on towards top lane.
Yeah.
So just hard to be able to track him.
I want to take a look at the next couple of minutes. While Tenacity's Ghost and Teleport is down, River nor Licorice burn flashes, so they have summoner advantages to make another repeat gank set up. River did clear all of his top cams, so he's not going to be there for the next couple of minutes, but by the time that swings on around, Ghost should still be down, and there's a window for Licorice to still be snowballed even further ahead.
That's a fair point. It might be the case, even though throughout this full split, Licorice, for the first 8 minutes of the game, was kept isolated, the most isolated top laner in the league, actually. Seems like the note's different going into this playoff series. I was wondering what the change-up was going to be for Golden Guardians. I think the draft is fairly standard, but it seems like the play is different. They found an opening on Tenacity, and I think they're going to continue to punish it.
Yeah. I mean, with the way that River and Closer are pretty much always on opposite ends of the map, whether they know that for sure or not, now they're going to guarantee access to that knowledge because River is crossing over a pink ward. Doublelift and Busio are going to have to play safe for now, even with summer advantage.
Yeah, stepping up just in case that Tri-Bush wasn't warded, and so River can get a wrap around, but now they have eyes on River. He's just going to be able to path back to top side, but Doublelift and Busio don't know that. He could be a psychopath. He could stay in that Tri-Bush for however long he wants to, but overall, this is just going to be a pretty standard early game. Slight goal lead there for Golden Guardians, and if I'm looking towards what the next step is going to be, it's going to be Drake stacking.
Yep.
I honestly think that right now, Golden Guardians have a bit of an edge around that. They have full vision control from mid to bot side. You can see that control ward on line bush. The only concern is that ward that's going to be expiring and that huhi and River are going to walk through. That's going to be a little unfortunate, but there it is, another control ward to catch that. That's something that actually Chime talked about in the analyst desk, how huhi will always path through mid and work with River to get those wards down. So let's see if Closer gets caught off guard by this.
River's now going to show himself in the river, so both teams are just going to stand off, stare at each other down menacingly, and just, walk like ships in the night. While Stixxay, because he is down summoner spells, he can't necessarily go for an engage.
Yeah, level 6 there for both mid laners, so I would give a slight advantage to 100 Thieves. They have pick potential in both the Thresh, and maybe if you get a double bomb, that's an option. And it's just going to be hard to really nail down anybody. Here comes the all-in from Licorice.
Dominus popped, and Licorice is burning down Tenacity. He gets Ghost up once again, but he's going to immediately force to burn it. Not using the all-out quite yet because Licorice just has such a high health pool advantage at the moment.
Yeah, so that's going to have to force Tenacity back. And this is going to be really tough for him because he has no TP. It's only going to get harder. Wow.
Cyclone is burned early. He gets a double knockout, but I don't think there's going to be any more action from 100 Thieves. Golden Guardians say, okay, we just got a free ultimate from Wukong.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot to expend there, but at least 100 Thieves get something done there. They are able to clear out the line bush, so the vision is set there, and they're able to push Golden Guardians away from Dragon. So even though I said it was going to be a Dragon game. That's not going to happen. Feels like Rift Herald's going to be the next point of focus. Golden Guardians slow stacking bot lane wave. I expect them to then base and look to play for Rift Herald. They have a Renekton, which is just a beast around that objective, and Tenacity's not looking so hot right now.
Yeah.
Really far behind because of that early gank, and then having to base with a stacking wave. He's going to be in trouble. So Golden Guardians right now is just looking really good.
Yeah. And the fact that they deflected a lot of the early advantage that Doublelift and Busio found off of the gank on the Stixxay.
Yeah.
His summoner spells are just coming up now. So the window that 100 Thieves wanted to punish, it's pretty much evaporated. And Golden Guardians, they can take this dragon with confidence because they know there's no Cyclone, but they're getting pincer in. River is forced to flash over the wall. Gori's here. He has perfect execution. Who does he want to go for? They target onto Bjergsen, but Doublelift gets popped in the fray, and Golden Guardians just take 100 Thieves one after another.
That was a clean one from Golden Guardians. I can understand why 100 Thieves wanted to take that defense, but they could not deal with River and Stixxay wrapping around them. That was beautiful. 2-0-2. Now Stixxay is huge after that.
I mean, that was beautiful from Golden Guardians, but for 100 Thieves, it seems so bizarre. You know you don't have Cyclone going into that fight.
Yeah.
I'm at a loss for words.
They thought they can get a clean pick on towards River, but River being able to back away completely. Stixxay pushing Doublelift out from the fight there. So even though that's actually the worst Lantern you could take, it made sense where you're like, okay, if we're committing to the fight, you can join it and find access in there with Stixxay not pushing you out. But you saw the moment you get Lantern in, I was like, oh, okay, I'm surrounded by 3 to 4 people.
Yeah, and then they all lined up for a very, very efficient, perfect execution from Gori, hitting, I think, all 4 members there in the fray. So what was an early advantage for Golden Guardians has now skyrocketed to 3,000.
Yeah, now 100 Thieves have to be really clear. They can't take these fights. Now, they're looking to start up Rift Herald. As you can see, Lulu and Akali getting pushed on mid, and they're going to contest. It doesn't seem rational for them not to. Oh, except Jinx is rotating. So you're seeing Doublelift moving up, so they're going to have numbers advantage here. Golden Guardians recognize that with Doublelift actually being on the mid lane wave, so they just back away, and they're just going to give free gold to Stixxay. He denies the wave from Doublelift. He's going to be a little bit far behind for that one. TP comes down there for Tenacity, so he's able to catch the wave. So this is actually a pretty good move from 100 Thieves.
Yep.
They don't lose actually too much for that play overall, so Golden Guardian's going to be pretty upset.
Yeah. While in the aftermath of that fight, both Tenacity and Doublelift were left off worse for wear.
Yeah.
They recognize that, you know what, we'll probably have much more power if we have both Doublelift and Busio rather than a Cassante at this point in the game. So they send Tenacity towards the bottom side of the map to catch the wave. This is the gamble that they're taking where Stixxay just got a lot of free farm, as you already noted.
Yeah.
But hopefully for 100 Thieves' case, they're able to balance it out now with this Rift Herald that they've picked up.
Yeah, this is pretty smart from 100 Thieves. They got the push out top side with the Doublelift making that rotation, was able to pick up the mid lane wave during the whole thing, then goes top lane, clears that out, then rotates bot lane. So it's like overall, you're like, okay, that's a lot of movement for 100 Thieves just to be able to guaranteed Rift Herald. So even though the gold advantage still heavily in Golden Guardians' favor, now it's them going to have to like just defend where that next placement of Rift Herald is going to be. So I'm interested where Closer is going to be placing that. I expect fully that it's going to be going towards the bot lane for Doublelift.
Sure.
Doesn't make too much sense for it to be pushed through mid or top lane. The only difficulty, as you can see, Gori has pushed through mid. So if you're going to try to place that through bot lane, the defense is going to be pretty real. And I would be surprised if Doublelift is actually going to be in range of turret when that placement goes through to get the gold from the turret plates.
And it's not guaranteed that Golden Guardians will commit to this attempt on the bot lane.
Yeah.
But the fact that they've now taken the steps to clear out vision control and it's complete darkness through their own quadrant in the jungle, Busio and Doublelift cannot play as aggressively as they would like. They find a death sentence on huhi. Can they get the kill down before River gets a chance to participate? They're looking to burn him down. They get him, and the resets are there for Doublelift. Cyclone right onto the backline for Stixxay as well, and River is actually isolated. He looks to trade one back, but Busio survives, and 100 Thieves are back in this game.
What a sick hook from Busio. When the going got tough, he went for that pick. Did not expect huhi to be the target there with the minion wave right next to him. Incredibly smart and a great way to come back into this game.
And this just snowballs even further. The payoff is rewarded when they get the Rift Herald into the turret. Unfortunately for them, Golden Guardians using Gori to answer with the TP. I think Doublelift didn't get any of that plate gold. It all went to Closer. But now this is where 100 Thieves have to say, okay, our early plan for trying to snowball a little gold into Jinx, it's actually going to be going into Closer. Now Closer has to be the person that turns it on with completing this Divine Sunder in the mid game.
Yeah, absolutely. And now that next focus has to be the Dragon. Coming up in 50 seconds. I'm expecting Golden Guardians to feel confident to still take that fight. Zeri's still looking good, but take a look at this. From the side of 100 Thieves. Another thing, too, is also Zilean make the move from mid to bot, but finds that pick on towards huhi. Just essentially bursts him down, even through the Lulu ultimate. And so they still commit to the fight. They still think that they can take it with Stixxay specifically being strong, but honestly, Bjergsen wasn't even needed for this one. So really good pick, creativity there from 100 Thieves. Just taking a look at the gold. Yeah, TP just to force them off here. And actually protect.
Oh, Doublelift's actually got a little bit of the gold too. Okay.
So that's great.
Huge.
He still gets that. That's a big win. Stixxay, I thought the fear was that they were going to dive Stixxay immediately afterwards with the wave coming in. So the TP was also just to protect him.
Woo!
That was close.
Immediate missing things flash from Golden Guardian side. Hey guys, there's a Thresh in my lane. What's this?
Get this man out of here.
The Golden Guardians have the opportunity to go for the second dragon of the game. There's nothing really for 100 Thieves to go for in terms of objective, but if they want to take down a Crocodile and turn him into some boots, then maybe this could be the angle.
Yeah, it looks like a good objective to me, though. Akali is looking for a way to defend Licorice on this wave. Smart from Licorice to back away completely. If there's any way to escort him, that would be nice, but there's just way too many people on top lane, so they're just completely sacking it.
It's a Mountain Soul game, Raz. That's going to be tough if 100 Thieves cannot contest Golden Guardians in the next two dragons, because that extra resistances plus the Mountain Soul shield, it denies the attempt or the availability for a reset to come in for Doublelift to really just rip through these team fights.
Yeah. I mean, right now I'm happy that he is... they're allowing him to get experience topside by just splitting the map. They made the mistake earlier of contesting the last dragon. They don't want to do that again, especially if they're a little bit slower in tempo. So why not go topside? Maybe get a pick on towards Renekton, but mostly just give that gold over to Doublelift, who is able to complete his Kraken. So that's a big win, along with Berserker's Greaves. So he's already feeling pretty happy. You're right. I do think that they need to take that next fight around dragons. So they have 4 minutes of time to really plan for that.
And within that 4 minutes, we're at 15 at the moment. And we take a look at Golden Guardian's side. Everyone has completed their first item, except for huhi, but you know it's okay. He's got all the power-ups that just make everyone else look damn good on the Rift. I feel it is very dangerous for 100 Thieves to take any fights right now, but if Golden Guardians can use this power to bully them out of quadrants and take away vision control, then you can start denying and starving more resources away from 100 Thieves while they're trying to scale up.
I agree with that. And I think it's important to talk about how 100 Thieves take wins here from now on. Like, if they, in terms of if they take this fight versus a pretty strong 2K goal lead of Golden Guardians, how are they feasibly going to win? And I think it's important for Tenacity or even Bjergsen to really know where Gori is going to be coming into the fight.
Yeah.
For me, he's the biggest threat. Everybody else is going to be coming at, you know, front to back. Maybe it depends on the Renekton, but I think for sure Gori is going to be coming at a flank and just making Doublelift's life hard. Because you only get one lantern to reposition yourself. So if he comes at a flank that he can't really, or no one's really tracing, that's going to be tough.
Licorice TP is down, and even though Busio tries to punish with a death sentence, he doesn't take realistically any too much damage. 100 Thieves did not want to fully commit into blowing up the Crocodile. The Rift Herald is the play that 100 Thieves are going to contest Golden Guardians on, and Gori on this right side of the flank. You got to be careful, which is why Doublelift wants to be cautious about how he approaches into the river, because he has no way to escape.
Take a look at this. On both control wards, line bush and behind the pit, you're seeing River and Gori threatening a flank, making it hard, as you mentioned, for Doublelift to actually push through.
The walls are going to close in, Raz. As soon as River goes over the wall, he's thinking about it. Vault Breaker's charged up. It looks like he doesn't take it quite yet, but he could always flash and just go for the ultimate. 2,000 HP on the Rift Herald. Closer tries to keep it in line, but it resets, and now they pull the trigger. Goes on to Doublelift. The Dark Message is right on top of him, but Gori finds it. Doublelift flashes over to the left wall. He's got the Zilean ulti, so he's still protected. Can Gori still clean it up? He's already got one on Tenacity, but the rest of 100 Thieves are still alive. Gori is taken out by the ball from Zilean, and 100 Thieves now get the push forward. It's disaster. Stixxay is still the last member alive that can put out realistic damage against 100 Thieves, and he's trying to do his best, Raz, but I don't think he can fight the rest of the Thieves.
There it is. I mean, this is tough for Golden Guardians. They have to concede it. Now they're looking mid lane, but that's a one fight for 100 Thieves. Great positioning by Doublelift right next to that wall you were talking about. Flashes right over, and there's no way they can threaten him anymore. I would say the only point of criticism we'll probably see in that replay was that although River did find a flank, Akali was actually on mid lane. At that point was maybe losing patience or something, went back mid, cleared the wave, so it was a little bit late, but even still I think was just going to be hard for Golden Guardians there. So that was a really good way of actually taking that fight. Only one sunburn, didn't even need to use the ghost. Let's take a look at this one more time.
Yep, you called it. He's on the mid wave, and I think this is where Gori's just a little too far away for him to capitalize right on the instantaneous moment of the play.
Yeah, and it felt like 100 Thieves used everything to save him. The lantern was placed. They even used, Golden Guardians used the control wards to deny the lantern. So you saw the Zilean ulti early, just in case he can't find a way out. Wasn't even necessary with Doublelift flashing over. So that was a great way of taking the fight where I actually didn't believe in it from the very start.
Yeah, and definitely the way that it panned out at the beginning, it seemed like they had all three kind of pincers all circled in. But that is the difficult part about executing a disruption pick. Yeah, I mean, hey, they're in elimination rounds. You can't just save the pocket pick for game 3, game 4. It's got to be. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and why does he still have hair? That's fair. But one of the points being made about, like, look, their team, 100 Thieves, that even Spooks, the head coach for Golden Guardians, like, it's very easy to prep for that team, but still, you can prep for this as the draft, but if they're just that good at performing, regardless of the champions, if they're able to play a front-to-back team fight well, properly, and play the fundamentals well and positioning around that, if you play that well, there's nothing stopping you from picking it. It's working for them.
Yeah, I don't think he dies. I mean, Bjergsen still has ulti, so he can just chrono break himself. He looks for the stun, and they try to bait it out, so now he's low on HP. At least they get the chrono break away, while the rest of 100 Thieves are bearing them down on this bottom side tower.
Yeah, it looks like Golden Guardians didn't want to defend the play bot lane. 100 Thieves are in a really good spot here now. Okay, at least they're just going to try and sneak away the dragon. 100 Thieves are aiming for it, not thinking it's taken. TP coming in, though.
Closer's going to be the first one over the wall. He sees it, 2,000 HP, 1,000. Oh my goodness, Closer clutches the steal. That's going to buy 100 Thieves more time in this game, but now they have to worry about how they can get out of this fight. It's a simple flash over the wall. Cyclone buys himself time. Gori is now over the wall. He wants to look for the perfect execution, but the box and the stun for the bombs keeps him busy. He's forced out of this one. Golden Guardians don't get a damn thing.
Closer's a smooth criminal, man. He calls himself a dangerous man for a reason. The fact that they're able to make the play bot lane and through Golden Guardians' creativity, trying to sneak Dragon underneath 100 Thieves' noses, he's like, ain't happening.
That's right. Not on my watch, baby. And look at this. Look how fast it is. He's like, Busio, sorry. It's my time to shine. It's a solo mission.
Pretty smart way of using clone there, too. No way from Golden Guardians to push him off from that one the moment he gets an eye on the HP of Dragon. Golden Guardians, of course, try and take the fight. Closer flashing over the wall, I think really important. Gori, actually, I thought he was going to be able to get a good angle here, but good ulti from Busio to slow him down, chunk him out a little bit. So he was disincentivized.
This is the main struggle that Golden Guardians have now run into in the past couple of fights, where they have all these flankers and backline threats that you can disrupt the backline fight with, but 100 Thieves have been so damn good at peeling away those threats one by one that there's credit over to 100 Thieves for being able to deal with it so beautifully, but also, you know, Golden Guardians need to finesse their execution so that everyone is going in at the same time.
Yeah. And so this just feels like a really close game, is a really close game. And so it's up to Golden Guardians to go back to the drawing board, figure out how they want to be able to take these fights. They failed the last one around Rift Herald and made a few mistakes around playing against it. They didn't want to defend Herald push bot lane and tried to go for Dragon and lost in both ways, so couldn't get the pick on Bjergsen when they were trying to trade sides. They failed at that, so let's see if they can bounce back.
They might find River here. Tenacity takes up the stun. One bomb is on the head of Licorice. No stun to be found from Bjergsen. 100 Thieves are able to just back away from the fight as Stixxay is revved up, but doesn't pop the ulti. Golden Guardians still trying to find ways to control this river area, but they're being blown off by 100 Thieves at the moment.
Yeah, at this point, I don't think Baron is going to be a big point of fear. I think they just need to take their side lane waves. Oh, unless they're just going for
TP
it.
flank, if this can work. One bomb is already on the TP ward, but there's not another one. It stops Licorice permanently for now. Closer takes out River, and everyone is peeled back off. Doublelift is low in HP, but he can still fire a rocket from downtown and take out Gori. carry. 100 Thieves have only dropped closer in the run, whereas Golden Guardians, they're working with Stixxay. They're working with Licorice and huhi to see if they can still put out the damage. And Stixxay wants to fire more bullets in the 100 Thieves, but they've all gone out safely.
Easily a 2-for-1 in favor of 100 Thieves. You saw Tenacity, Bjergsen, Busio all protecting Doublelift, not allowing River and Gori to get an angle there. So just take a look one more time. I actually thought Golden Guardians were just going to say, okay, let's play back. We don't have to play for this fight, but they went for it. I was concerned initially because of how low Doublelift got. And with Zilean ulti already on him, there may have been an angle for Golden Guardians to actually take a fight, but they had already gotten the pick on River and Gori. So a little bit confusing. You look at Licorice there, didn't know how to honestly take the fight because it was already lost by the time he was there.
Sigh of relief from Doublelift as he gets out safely, adds up another kill to the side of 100 Thieves. It's been incredible to watch 100 Thieves despite the early game mishaps and the big upstart from Golden Guardians in that first Dragon fight that they had. They've been able to bounce back and they've been able to play to the success of their win con, protect Doublelift at all costs, keep this man alive. As Golden Guardians, time and time again, they have not been able to find him.
I like what Golden Guardians are doing right now, though. I mean, they are losing their gold lead, and they do have to protect this mid lane, but they're positioning on towards Baron because 100 Thieves know that they still have to deny Golden Guardians from a third dragon. That is a threat that Golden Guardians are still hanging over their heads. And so, hey, if you're doing Dragon, we can play around Baron ourselves. We can force a fight that's advantageous for us. So, like, that's something that I would say Golden Guardians have an out in, that they can play well enough to get back into the game. So I'm interested to see if that's going to be the case for Golden Guardians, or they just go headstrong straight into River and challenge 100 Thieves there.
So far, vision control is on 100 Thieves' side. Dragon is coming up in the next 24 seconds, so I feel like the window to regain vision control for Golden Guardians has already passed. It seems like this Dragon is going to be in favor of 100 Thieves.
All right, let's see. A lot of good vision up here in the top side of the map. huhi still working quite closely. Oh, they've already started it. They've already just gone for it. Dragon's just spawning right now with ulti used by Jinx, so they now have an idea and they have to slowly encroach on Golden Guardians.
Closer's the first one into the river. Tenacity is being marked by Gori on the left side in the jungle. Licorice is looking for a flank. Licorice has flash. Has he been spawned on a ward? They know that there's a ward from 100 Thieves, but 100 Thieves don't have vision of Licorice himself. And he's just waiting for Doublelift to step on up. He's popping the Dominus. He might have gone a little too early. Gori looks for perfect execution. They're going to take out the front line first, but Doublelift is safe in this pocket, and Stixxay's taken out, and a majority of the damage is gone. And look at that double bomb stun from Bjergsen, setting up Doublelift to carry. The two goats of NA working side by side to deliver this game for 100 Thieves.
And that last hook on towards huhi, a nice button to that team fight. Loved 100 Thieves' patience, walking up towards the river. Tenacity was marking Gori, so he didn't have that angle. Rejoined the fight, and it was a clean execution from 100 Thieves.
I am just completely floored by how well they are in sync. But this is the result of fruit of their labors after this entire split so far, as 100 Thieves can take a look back at this fight.
So it starts with the ulti from River, and they really do a lot to chunk out Bjergsen. But that just means Doublelift and Busio are just pumping in the back line. Doublelift specifically working on towards Licorice, and the front line of 100 Golden Guardians just melts. It proves a point that you have to go on towards the AD carry because he's the one that's just free hitting. He is the majority of the damage on the side of 100 Thieves, and so even if you think you have a pick on towards Bjergsen, he's just buying time. So, good job for 100 Thieves, made it difficult for Golden Guardians, and now have a huge gold lead, 3.8k.
Yep.
Majority of the game, it was Golden Guardians with the gold lead, and now it's 100 Thieves that's talking.
And what can Golden Guardians do at this point? We talked about at the beginning of the draft that a lot of their win condition was going to be playing through sides, getting those waves pushing so that you can have easier flank angles. Every single time they've looked for flanks, it has been repelled by 100 Thieves in every one of these fights, and now that they're no longer taking fights at a gold advantage, they're taking out a gold deficit.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, man. That's tough.
That 25-minute mark, it just blew up. So now they're on that Baron power play, and they're looking topside. 1 point to note for Golden Guardians. They're behind versus Zilean. Really hard to find the pick to get back into this game. Stopwatch there for Closer 2, that's active, so he can be a little bit more aggressive, knowing that he has a good amount of support, a Lantern, Zil ulti, anything, his own stopwatch as I mentioned. to keep him alive. So it has to be Golden Guardians to try and trade sides. Of course, defend the inhib turret. But as you can see, Gori is on the bot lane, trying to get something in the meantime. River's trying anything at this point.
This is as creative of a flank as you can get in the late game. There's a TP coming in as well. But wait,
it was stopped.
Tenacity canceled it.
Tenacity saw him and was able to cancel it, so it's only River on the backside.
Can they still make it happen, though? Ballbreaker flash right onto Doublelift, but where's the damage follow-up? Stixxay cannot rip through all of them. He's trying to flash it forward, but he has to flash out because the damage from 100 Thieves is overloading the Golden Guardians, and Tenacity is now able to TP into the fray, which means that Gori had to recall and now walk back. Gori's got perfect execution, but I imagine as soon as he steps up, 100 Thieves will just back off.
It's crazy. Everything we mentioned that was going to be an uphill battle for Golden Guardians in that fight only got harder when Tenacity was able to cancel the TP from Gori, TP himself into a fight, made it a numbers disadvantage. On top of that, there was no way for Golden Guardians to win that.
Damn. Can we just take a moment to appreciate, like, how strong of a footing this has been from 100 Thieves, just bouncing off of what was a very tough loss from FlyQuest. And we had questions if they're going to have problems going into Golden Guardians into a fresh new series, but the way that this game one is panning out, this is a great way to get the boot rolling.
Well, to be fair, they did have problems early, and that's been an issue for them still.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're still kind of repairing some of the wounds from the early Dragon fight, a thing that they've been really good at is still recovering if they are in a gold deficit. If they don't feel like they're strong trading sides, they did that. So that's nice for them in this specific game. It can't be a consistent trend, so that's my only critique. For Golden Guardians now, having to try anything. If they can find an opening, the only opening I can see is, let's say, if Closer and Busio are trying to clear vision. Right now, Tenacity is on his own, so he can't play too aggressively. Things like that. If you can see that they're pressing too much on your defensive vision, then you can look for something. But as it stands right now, it's not looking good.
Yeah. I mean, Golden Guardians, game's not over yet. As you already mentioned before, you know, it just comes down to how creative you can be with these flanks and if the execution can come through. But I'm also looking at, okay, what do Golden Guardians need to correct going into potentially this second game? You know, Gori was set up for success. He had a great first Dragon fight. Stixxay repelled the early attempt from Closer in the bot lane.
Yep.
Like, everything was going well, but it just seemed like the execution of this Disruptor comp that they wanted to bring out in game one was pretty much negated by 100 Thieves.
Yeah, and so it just comes down to playing fights a little bit better. Because for me, that the first Rift Herald where they conceded having Zeri bot lane, I think they can take that fight. You can match them. It's okay because you're getting more gold on towards Stixxay, but I think they realized that actually 100 Thieves didn't lose too much with TP from Tenacity still picking up bot lane wave. So that's one thing that they can look at going in between games.
Sure.
Another thing was also that team fight we talked about with Gori being a little bit late, allowing 100 Thieves to actually encroach a little bit more into the river and not threatening Doublelift on his entry. So there's a few things they can look at, but that's tough. Those are not band-aid solutions they can have in a few, like 10 minutes in between game one and game two. So let's see if there's a draft decision there, because we kind of mentioned single target going into Thresh, Lantern, Bjergsen, Zilean ulti. Like, that's always going to be difficult in fights if you're just aiming to kill one person. So that is hard late game with the draft. So that could be one angle where they change that.
Yeah. With 100 Thieves having complete and resolute control of the bottom side of the map, third Dragon goes their way. Dragon Soul will be available for them to take in the next 5 minutes, but depending on how well this Baron take goes for them, they might not even need to go to that point. You can just take the Baron and just overload Golden Guardians in a game-winning fight.
Yeah, and honestly, the best thing to do whenever it comes to you have a huge lead, at this case, it's 5.4K, using Baron as a tool to pick a fight, a game-winning fight. See that a lot in the LPL, LCK as well, of course, where it's like, all right, we cleared vision. We are now sitting in either the bush behind the pit, or we're just starting it with Busio or Tenacity in a control-warded bush just to see if they can get a fight that they want to end the game. That's a good way to do it. Seems like Golden Guardians are basing the entire game on this one fight, going for Tenacity.
Gori has already popped the perfect execution, but a great death sentence from Busio over the wall. Takes out huhi before he gets a chance to contribute any more to this fight. Licorice falls just right after, and now the Golden Guardians are on the run as 100 Thieves start to close in on their prey and march one step closer to the base.
40-second death timer on Licorice, 30 on huhi. With a wave right behind them, it's going to be really hard for Golden Guardians to stop this. I will say 100 Thieves generally don't try and end games, and they think there's a small chance of them messing up, but this way, I just don't see it.
They can play with confidence, play with range, use rockets and max distance. Already, Gori tries to see if he can buy time, but he's gonna get blown up. He gets the stasis out from his Zhonya's, but then he goes down. Closer has the GA, so he gets the second life as well. And for the rest of 100 Thieves, they are rolling through the Golden Guardians in their own damn home. They're crashing the kitchen. They're taking out everything. 100 Thieves will take first the game in this series.
It's a bit of a scramble happening right now.
The pad in the KDAs.
Maybe one more. Now the hook misses, but that was a clean one. A lot happened. The moment the clock struck 25 minutes, it was winning time for 100 Thieves. They started off pretty rough, but man, that game opened wide and quickly.
And you could just see how well in sync, after one bad fight from 100 Thieves, they quickly corrected themselves. It didn't take a few weeks like we had seen during the regular season where they had a huge mid-season slump where nothing was going right for them. And we thought that, man, 100 Thieves, they might not even make playoffs, but then they had that surge in the back 2 weeks. This is the kind of play that we have been seeing. And for Golden Guardians, the question still remains, where was the team that popped off during the middle of the split?
Yeah, it's about execution. And even though you can make those band-aid solutions in the draft in between game 1 and game 2, it's about how you end up playing team fights. And it seems like 100 Thieves, it really matters. Recency bias, it matters how you win.
Yeah.
Because right now it seems like 100 Thieves are just the better team fighting team right now off game 1.
Yes.
But we haven't seen Golden Guardians too much, only just this one game, so it's a low sample size. So I'm interested to see if they make any big changes in the draft or even just in play.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just an uncharacteristic game. There's more to watch.
Yeah, we don't know what could happen. Adaptation is always a crucial thing for teams that can make or break the series as well. Maybe it's just the first bad game and then everything gets straightened out. We'll have to leave that to Golden Guardians as we head on over to the LCS Lounge to break down that first game.
That was quite a first game. Not looking so hot over at the other end. We're looking pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good.
I feel happy, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mean that.
I think the big thing is, even though Golden Guardians did actually have a pretty strong early game, they really had trouble in team fights, specifically into Bjergsen Zilean.
Yeah, they got destroyed. So we got the Grubhub dub right here, and it was kind of the story of the game. Closer played amazingly, but mostly it felt like Golden Guardians just didn't have any confidence in their approaches to fights because the Zilean was going to block whatever they do, so they actually just end up not ever going for double-lift.
Yeah, they all in on Bjergsen here. They clump up. He comes back alive. They're able to get a ton of bomb damage off. There were also some other team fights for Bjergsen where he like bombed the teleport coming in from Licorice to stop him from getting in. It just felt like it threw a wrench in Golden Guardians' game plan, which wanted to just dive a single target and blow it up, and the Zilean made it so that was never really an option.
Yeah, I think Jinx gets to ramp up too is the most annoying thing because her lethal tempo stacking, by the time Zilean has either died or you've waited out his revive, she has a reset and then she's just like pumping so much damage.
Yeah.
Yep, and watch the best of North America duke it out while you chow down on your favorite order from Grubhub. Get $4 off your Grubhub delivery order of $10 or more with the code GOFORTHEWIN through March 27th. Terms apply. So if Golden Guardians are going to rally in the series, it is probably going to be on the back of Stixxay. And now we're going to hear a little bit more about him and his journey back to the LCS playoffs.
Game 5, it's all come down to this. Will it be TSM? Will it be Counter Logic Gaming?
This game is so tense. One team fight could decide the championship.
I think it was a really hyped final because it was Doublelift versus former team. For me, in particular, I was the guy who replaced him, right? So I guess people were kind of looking to see, like, this was like the ultimate test of was it worth it or not. People just knew me, I guess, as like the rookie AD carry who maybe was a bit crazy or something.
Game 5, when he was playing Tristana, yeah, I think we just put all the trust in it, and I just started playing support for him.
And here comes Hanser, looks for the play, gets headbutted and gets pulverized around. They knock in Stixxay, but he's gonna be all right with this one.
All I remember was just thinking, it's just this one fight decides the whole thing. I guess like what made me pull the trigger was just pure instinct and maybe not really much thinking behind it. Just kind of, I just saw the opportunity and I just went for it.
Bjergsen is low, Stixxay flashes in, gets hit up, but Q-Hit is out, he's still gonna tag, he's trying to reset! He's going in for the reset! Yellowstone gets down, one. He's going for 3! Stixxay with the Tristana!
I think if I were to think about it, I would have actually like potentially made a mistake there, but I just let my instinct take over and kind of did what felt right to me.
And CLG proves you can change the players, but the faith remains, and they're gonna walk to their second consecutive North American LCS championship.
We just put every trust in Trevor to carry us when it matters. It was a really special moment because our first LCS split went to Game 5 in finals versus TSM, and he delivered. That game gave him a lot of confidence, especially going into MSI as well. I think a lot of people thought he was the best AD carry even in that international tournament.
That's marked onto huhi, and they're starting to help, but Xiao is shut down by Stixxay. I don't know how this one's gonna turn out, and that's insane. Wooper is going low, but he chrono breaks back. A double kill for huhi. Stixxay is going, oh my god! A triple kill, and it would be the ace. Wooper is down. CLG.
Well, I knew that coming back into North America after like playing internationally, people had really high expectations of me, and I think people expect me to do the best in my role, pretty much just be better than everyone else. And I mean, I definitely felt like I had to live up to that, so I guess the expectations for me were a lot higher. In my career, I never even really thought about like doubting myself or like maybe I could be worse than someone else until like 2019. Before that, I was just purely like, I just thought I was straight up better. Maybe that's like some of the confidence that comes with just being young, but in 2019 spring, I was having some bad games on stage, and that was the first time I truly started to feel like maybe I'm not able to stack up to some of the other players anymore. Started to feel like, oh, I actually am replaceable. Before that year, I never felt that a single time. I always felt like my spot was just guaranteed. I remember there was a game versus TSM. I was playing Ezreal, and I just got hooked like 2 or 3 times in lane and just died.
They've got a very big problem on the bottom side, and it might get bigger!
I was just looking at the scoreboard, and it's like, I don't know, like 13 minutes or something, and I'm just 0-4-0. And I remember just almost having like a out-of-body experience, just thinking, wow, like this is me playing in the LCS stage and this is happening. Yeah, I don't know. It was just one of those losses that always like kind of pained me. In the prior years, us having a bad split was ending 3rd or ending 4th, and then it came to be we're ending 7th, we're ending 8th, we're not even making playoffs. It just kind of feels like you're in a hole that you can't get out of. You know, maybe the game becomes confusing. You're not really sure what you should be doing in the game to win. Whereas before, you didn't even think about that. You just showed up and you just won. I stopped listening to my instinct as much, and I started to think more. I started to think about, you know, maybe like the one-off scenarios that could happen in a stage game. You know, like, oh, what if he was in this bush and I just didn't realize it? I would start to think like that instead of just knowing he can't be here, that kind of thing. And that caused me to, I guess, have a lot of doubt in my play. And I think that definitely snowballed as I lost more and more. So I played the whole 2021 year on the team with Golden Guardians, and then at the end of the year, I got told that I wasn't going to be playing anymore, and so I was offered a coaching opportunity, and I took it because I didn't know what else to do, and I didn't have any other offers to play anywhere. We had some visa issues with the Academy AD carry. They couldn't really find anyone, and they were really trying to pressure me because a lot of the people on the team wanted to play with me. I was really hesitant because I'd kind of changed my mind on playing and just thought, you know, maybe I'll just do coaching from now. And it took a lot of convincing from the staff and the players and stuff, and I eventually said, okay, I'll play this split.
They're going to be able to get a Guavo combo, pick up the 2 kills for Stixxay.
I had a really good couple months in Academy where, I mean, I was like 100% the best, probably the best player in Academy. That kind of re-sparked a lot of my confidence, and it made me feel like okay, I can stand with a lot of the young players. Like I can still be that guy. And then the next split I was offered back in the LCS.
Oh, 2v2, the root from huhi, Stixxay and huhi coming up huge. Whoa, 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 the damage is cool, but Stixxay still's got spears, and he cleans them all up.
Even after multiple years, he always tried to do something really aggressive. He wants to like go kill everyone.
And now Stixxay is unleashed!
I'm glad that me and Trevor could show how strong we can be.
Stixxay with the chase on the chime, takes him down!
I'm still looking for that redemption. I just learned to trust myself. Stop second guessing myself. Stop thinking if everything I was doing was wrong. And follow my instinct.